Alright, what's up guys? Today what we're going to talk about is the 6-star Legendary Rune Crafting and Power Up plus 6 event. Um, I don't think it's hyperbole to say this is the best event in Summoner's War. It is the best way to progress your account. It's the best way to, get higher finishes in RTA, in Arena, in anything. So I don't take this event lightly, and when I see it coming up, I'm super happy, and it's like it's time to get down to business, because this is one that if you don't put thought and time into, you're going to fall behind, because everybody's getting good stuff out of this, and trying to maximize it might bump you up to the next level you're looking to reach. So let's take a look at it real quick. You guys are probably familiar with it. This is one they run occasionally. And basically what you want to do is farm nonstop during the event to get these points. I've been farming nonstop. I'm not even, 24 hours into the thing, and I'm getting a ton. You get 2 runes that you can power up to plus 6 however you want. You get to pick the slot, you get to pick the type, and you get to pick what 4 lines you get, but it's random. So you got to roll. That's why you got to farm a bunch. So, the more points you have, the more likely a chance you're going to get exactly what you want, and you get 2 of them. So they just can't be the same set and the same type. So that's how it works. How do you kind of strategize farming for this stuff? Well, let's take a look. Actually, I want to go into my RTA runes because I think that's better. RTA. So, here are my runes. Take that off. So, this is everything this is every rune you ever have, right? What you don't want to do is pick slot 1, 3, or 5. Why? Slot 1, 3, and 5 have the same base stat every time, either flat attack, defense, or HP. And so you're going to get twice as many good runes in those slots. The reason why slot 2, 4, and 6 are better is half of those are going to be flat stats as the main, and those are trash. So these are harder to get, and that's why you're farming. You're going to pick one of these because it already makes it 50% of a harder rune to get. Okay, so that's the first thing. We're just going to eliminate options, right? Okay, let's talk about sets. There's a lot of sets in this game. These are endgame premier amazing runes, so you don't want to give them any sort of a set that's not an endgame amazing premier set. So what does that leave us with? Swift is an endgame premier set. Violent, for sure. Will, you're going to use that quite a bit. And then I would say Despair, depending on your playstyle and your units. Because I think more and more Despair runes are becoming RTA meta, and I think they're definitely like Siege meta situationally, but RTA meta quite a bit. So I think Despair is a good choice if you need it, right? But I think most people are going to say Swift, Violent, and Will as your options there. Now, what about slot 2? Slot 2, the only thing you would want would be speed, because you use slot 2 speeds everywhere. You can see I've got a jillion of them, and they're in use. Like, these are my RTA units. They're all rocking slot 2 speed, pretty much everything I use, right? So it's a pretty well-used rune. But I would not use it for this event because you get to control the first 2 rolls. And to me, getting an 18 speed rune is what you want to do, no matter whatever you pull. And you can't make an 18 speed rune on slot 2. Some people might really need a different thing for their account. They might need 18 crit rate or 24 accuracy or something like that. But getting up to 18 speed is quite difficult. So I would not limit yourself to a rune that can't achieve that. So I would say, let's get rid of slot 2. That's just me. So what does that leave us with? Slot 4 and slot 6. So let's take a look at the speed situation. So this one's kind of ridiculous. That's my best rune. But then 28, 28, 28. Okay, so it's going okay. 26. So this is a quad roll still. Or, I'm sorry, a triple roll. Triple roll. This is no longer a triple roll, right? Oh, yeah, it is a 20. Could it be? So let's see. I think 23 is the cutoff because it's 18 plus 5, right? So let's see how far I go down with my triple rolls. Right here. So in terms of triple roll slot 4, I have 2.5 lines. In terms of triple roll slot 6, 23, right here. I've got a little over 2 lines. So the goal is to get a triple roll speed, because you can see these triple roll speeds are in use on my account. All my triple roll speed slot 6s are in use pretty much. Not him, because he's terrible, but still not horrible. And then this one's not in use right now, I think because it's Special League. I would use this normally. That's one of my quad rolls. Let's look at slot 4. Triple roll speeds, pretty much everything in use. Speed is good. Speed is great. So that's why we're going to be going for a slot 4, slot 6. We're going to be trying to triple roll speed. Now, if you scroll down, we've got some units that are not on triple roll speed. They're on efficient, right? If I can scroll accurately. They're just efficient. They've got a lot of stats, a lot of good stuff. Those are not unusable runes either. Like, let's go down here. We've got the Sierra. stuff like that. Daphnis, more, Molly, right? These are not triple rolls, but they're still in use. So these slot 4s and slot 6s with an 18 speed is going to be usable. Like this one could be upgraded by a rune from this event, right? So what I think you want to do is consider usability, best case scenario, and sets to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those sets I talked about. I'm going to go for plus 18 speed on slot 4, slot 6, and then I'm going to hope that it rolls a triple roll, which, you know, you got a pretty good shot at it, right? You got 2 attempts at 1 and 4, so not horrible. The crazy thing about this event, and I think the other reason why slot 4 and slot 6 are so imperative, is that you have a 1 in 16 chance of a quad roll. 1 in 16, which is kind of sad. 1 in 16 times 2, you got 2 runes, 1 in 16. The overall speed of the player base during this event goes up, because if people are doing this right, 1 in 16 players are getting 1 quad roll. That's like 2 people out of your guild, maybe 3. And if you're not one of those people, which I have never been one of those people, you're sad, right? You're super sad. But I think you got to shoot to be one of those people, or you're going to fall behind all those people that hit on it. And you're going to see a bajillion posts on Reddit of, look, I got a quad roll. Oh, look, I got 2 quad rolls. Look, I got 2 30 speed runes. And you're going to be sad, but that's just how it goes. So I think you want to give yourself your best shot at getting to be one of those lucky people to get a quad. So that's why I think 4 and 6, speed to 18. My runes from the event last time were this one. I took crit damage, slot 4, and I got one roll into speed, 1 roll into HP. Kind of a low roll into HP, but I got a perfect crit rune, or crit, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. I got 1 perfect roll into defense, and 1 almost perfect roll into speed. This is amazing. This is an amazing, amazing rune, because it was, 1 off perfect when I gemmed out whatever was here, probably a lower HP stat, and then I grinded it up. So that turned out great. The other one I took last time was Swift. I think it was this one. Yeah, so I rolled, again, 1 almost perfect speed roll and 1 almost perfect defense roll. Had an accuracy, kept it, switched this out for crit rate. You know, it's debatable. You could put HP here and get a little more of a tanky rune. I went with crit rate. You know, no big deal. I'll always use this rune, especially with that roll. And the reason why I selected that is because my Swift runes in that slot were low speed, and I picked attack because if it didn't roll at least once into speed or twice, I could still use it on something. Like, you don't need every attack rune to be 23 base. You can have an 18 base attack rune and still be fine. That's why I picked that. I picked a rune I'm not going to re-up. You don't want to re-up these in any way, shape, or form. You do not want to re-up these. You want to make sure that whatever they roll, it's going to be good for you. So, all that being said, what am I going to do this time? Why, am I going to do the exact same thing? Am I going to do something different? Let's talk about it. So this is where it becomes account specific, and you want to see what your account needs the most and then upgrade that for yourself. So the main thing for me is I want to look at Violent. I want to look at, let's look at crit damage and crit rate. So I've got, sort by speed. I've got this crazy rune from last time, and then I've got this little backup rune, which is also pretty good. I think this might have been an event rune at some point, but not one of the OP event runes, but it's still really good. And then I go down to 20, not too bad. So, I've got a little bit of a base here in crit damage. Let's look at crit rate. Crit rate, I'm pretty lacking in. My crit rate are good bruiser runes. This is a quad roll defense. These are amazing bruiser runes. But then in terms of fast runes, not a lot. So that's something to keep in mind. 17 is my fastest. Let's go look at slot 6. So slot 6, I think the only thing I would consider for Violent is HP. I don't need accuracy. I don't need defense, obviously. Attack, I don't really feel like is as valuable nowadays. So here's my HP runes. 20 is my fastest. And I mean, I got G1 last time. 20 fastest HP rune is not great. I should be better than that, right? And then the other thing I'll look at is default grade. How many legendary violence do I have? So here's one. I'm not going to change that one because that one's pretty nice for me. It's not perfect, but it fills a niche of pretty fast and nice and defensy. Here's another one. This one is not great. It is, 1 roll, 1 low roll, and 2 kind of lowish rolls. But it is a legend. So that one might be re-upped again at some point. And then we got this one here. What are you? You're hero. I have two legend HP slot 6 violent runes. 2. That's not a lot. And then if we go into speed, you can see my fastest is 20. So one of the runes I'm absolutely 100% taking is a slot 6 violent HP rune. Because I'll roll it to 18. It will be my fastest rune. Boom. Upgrade. Fastest rune. Automatically right there, ready to go. I can use that on so many things. I can use it on Yanhong if I want to lower her speed a little bit, because she's currently got a triple roll speed on her. Let's go look at that, actually. Where are you? I think you're not currently one of the people because it's Special League. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I put her set on Vigor, I believe. Yeah. So I'm currently running a broken slot 6. Not even that great a rune. It's got defense in the up here part. I forget what you call it. Don't remember. And then it's just a 22. So this is not a great rune, especially not on Yanhong. Like, it's missing a lot of stuff. So, you know, if it does not roll into speed at all, it'll roll into the other stats, and it'll have 23 speed. So it's a little bit of a hit, but it's violent, which frees up my other slots to do whatever I want with. I can have my violent set and change things up. So that's really, really nice. If it rolls into speed even once, it's an upgrade, because this is the minimum speed roll, right? If I get one minimum roll, already, speed-wise, I'm caught up, which is insane. So that's one way it can help with Yanhong. It could help me turn Han violent, because Han is currently on Swift. If it doesn't roll into speed, it'll be efficient. It could be on Diana. It could be on Sierra. It could be on a lot of different units, So it's super, super handy. I could put it on a Violent Wusa. So it's just going to be amazing. So that's what I'm going to take for sure. It's an automatic upgrade by a lot. A significant upgrade. So for me, that's no big deal. It's a done thing. I would love for it to roll 1 roll into speed. I would love for it to roll 2 rolls into speed. Because that would make me have just a ridiculous Yanhong. But I'm not going to count on it, and I'm going to keep it no matter what, because it's going to be fantastic. So that's done. Bum. Slot 6 is done. Violent is done. So all I have left to decide is slot 4. Now, Violent, I can't select. So my options are Swift, Despair, and Will. So this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I recommend anyone do. Look at your account, look at what you use, and look at what you need. So let's look at Swift. We're going to take either crit damage or crit rate. You mean you can't take HP because you already took HP. I think, unless you really need a crit damage, crit rate is probably better. And let's look into why. So here's my crit damages with speed. So my fastest one is 23. So already I would equal this, which is kind of nice. Everything else would be more efficient because these are not great rolls. This one's my best crit damage rune, and it's not super fast, but it's just got everything you need. It's 2 rolls into here, 1 here, and 1 here. Hopefully this is something what an event slot 4 would look like. You would want all 4 grindables. I think even over crit rate, unless you're like crit damage and you really want crit rate, it's not horrible. But all 4 grindables I think is superior. That way, whatever it rolls is good. And what's nice about this event is you only get 2 rolls you can't control. So you're guaranteed to not have a 1 in each. You're guaranteed to have something you can gem and grind out. So let's say I move this up in the event to 18, and I rolled once in attack, once in defense. I would have a 7 or 8 HP. I would then overwrite it with a higher HP and then grind it and get this massive crazy rune. So that one's pretty good for that sort of rune. So in my mind, I already kind of have one of those. So I think I'm going to look at crit rate in Swift. It's just this. Literally just this. That's the only one I have with speed. Let's look at anything else. I have 3 total. None are in use because they're all bad. I mean, I'm saving this to re-up. I guess I wouldn't want to re-up anything with defense percentage, but I've not trashed it, so apparently my mind's like, maybe. And you really don't want to re-up Swift runes anyway, so. Okay, so this is a huge problem and a hole in my my rune box, right? I'm lacking crit rate compared to crit damage. Crit damage in pretty good shape, crit rate not. So already I'm like, Swift crit rate. Okay, that's something. And why is that? Okay, let's look at crit rate in general. Let's go with speed, because we're going to be rolling a speed rune. What am I using them on? I'm using one on Juno, I'm using one on Sierra, using one on Moore, using one on Triana, using one on Molly, using one on Vanessa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are in use in my RTA units. Let's look at crit damage in general. Vigor, that's my Yanhong rune that we looked at before. This is equipped, but not really using. It's Special League. This is definitely in use, so that's 2. This one is definitely in use, that's 3. We got the Daphnis here. And then stuff like Lucian is not in use. So I feel like, well, no, we got the Antares here. That's also in use. So they're not quite as used, I think, for frequent picks, which is a small little distinction, especially when you think about the game in a broader PvE sense. They're used quite a bit. But in RTA, I feel like crit rate are just a little more used on a little more frequent picks in a weird way. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but that's kind of my vibe, especially with the oracles. Like if I get a Praha, I would want it on crit rate. It's just good, right? The Fire Ken, he needs to crit. There's a lot of things that specifically need to crit to do cool stuff. And then again, you can see how drained my Swift crit rates are. Okay, so that's Swift. Now let's look at Will. Is another option, right? Crit rate Will. I have 3 in use. Fast, tank. And then we go meh, tank. So we've got 2 tank and 2 fast. So to me, crit rate slot 4 Will is not a great option because I've got 2 of each in use, right? Let's look at crit damage. 1 in use by Antares, and it's fine. He's got one he needs. But again, we've got tank, 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 all tanks. So if I was looking for a speedy crit damage will rune, this would be the choice here because there's no speedy one. There's just not one. So I need to evaluate what units do I need on crit damage with speed and figure that one out. So this is a viable choice, a crit damage speed will rune, right? And then let's look at despair. I have 1 crit damage rune in use. It's not very fast, so if I wanted a fast one, I could take that. Here's the crit rate. 1 in use, and just kind of a little bit fast, but just kind of bruisery. The fact that there's only 2 total in use, and they're not units that I pick very often, to me says, maybe, maybe this is not a good choice for me, despair. If you're using a lot of despair units, you might feel differently, but to me, I'm not using that, you know? And I'm not even I don't even need to look at violent again, because I've already selected one for violent. So the choice for me personally is between will, crit damage to get a guaranteed speed rune, because I don't have one, right? I just don't. So that would fill a niche in my box. Like, I would immediately be, what, 8 speed faster? That would open up some build possibilities. Might help with the daftness, something like that. Or, to me, it's a swift crit rate, because I have literally nothing. So that's the decision I need to make. I don't know. I've got a lot of time to think about it. To me, I think the Swift is a little more appealing because I've got a 1 in 16 chance of quad rolling. And a quad roll Swift, I don't care what the sub-property is, it opens up more of your box than a quad roll will. It lets you take that turn 1, it lets you get whatever unit into the crazy Godspeed, and then you can just do horrible things to people. So I'm probably leaning that direction, and since I don't have anything in that slot. But I need to think about it a little more and decide. Like we can even branch out into things like what does my slot 4 in general look like, right? For Swift, for speed. Fastest is 24, which that's not great. It's a triple. And then we go to 23, which is not grinded all the way. So, you know, even if I don't roll into speed, it would be my second fastest slot 4 Swift, which is kind of neat. Let's look at it. Will, I think this is what's going to separate my options for me. Look what do we got here. I already got some speed in slot 4 if we want it. There's some speed there. And then we go 28, 26, 25. So 22 I would say is not worth it. But 25, 26, 28, 33. So will slot 4 speed is not hurting. And then another thing, I think this is just, I'm sorry, this is such a long video, but this decision is super important. Put it on 2x speed or whatever if you're interested. But this is an important thing to consider. Look at all the runes I'm using. They are ancients, right? Because all I do is farm Alunia. So in theory, I have access to faster and better will runes through Alunia than I do Swift runes, because I don't farm Swift ancient runes, because I think it's useless. So that to me is another factor in my decision. On average, I'll get better looks at will runes than I will at Swift runes, and I'll use ancient reaps on them. Like this was an ancient reap, ancient reap, ancient reap. I mean, all my best, right? I'm pouring resources into this slot already. So why not take something that I'm not farming? I'm not farming giants. I'm farming dragons. So why not take the thing I'm not farming and upgrade it? So I think that makes my decision clear. I think I'm going to take Swift crit rate over crit damage because I already have a little bit of a fast crit damage one and I have nothing in crit rate. Literally nothing. So that's my thought process. That's how I'm going through it. That's my plan. I would say farm like crazy. Save about 600 points if you can, because I feel like there was some math done last time that said, you know, if you have about 300 points per rune to roll them to plus 18, on average, you'll get it. If you want to be super paranoid, save, 1,200 points, and in theory, mathematically, you should be absolutely fine. So yeah, that is my suggestion for the event. I'm curious what people are doing, if you're doing something different, if you're doing exactly what I'm doing. If what I'm doing is insane and not smart, please let me know, because I do not want to be giving false information to anyone. And I would recommend watch any creator that is talking about the selection process, because they might have some insight that I don't have. They might, make it clearer to you what you want to do. I'm definitely watching them all because I am making sure I'm doing this exactly right, because it's super, super important. So good luck to everyone on the event. Sorry about the cat, and I will see y'all in the next video. Take care, everybody.